What is going on, guys? Doe here. Hope we're doing good. Today I want to discuss a pretty solid build for getting very high trial rounds in the Tower of Trials. My highest was 51 recently. This is it, boys. Wait, Ascendant, I got it. And it was like my third time trying, and that's all because of this build. Before my third attempt doing it, my first one, I only got to round 10, and I was like, this is not going to work out. Like, I'm doing something wrong. There's no shot I get higher levels. So I changed up some stuff. I tried a different build, and this one seems to work really well for me. Now, to go ahead and get started on the build, we're going to be using the Sword of Courage, which is a very insane weapon. This is a physical DPS sword. I'm not sure it comes in different flavors or different ailments like Void and whatnot. Hopefully not, because you want the physical version of the sword. Physical damage causes bleed. If you do not have that, this build doesn't work. Anywho, whenever you inflict bleed, shoot up to 2 projectiles that each deal 4,000 physical damage. Those projectiles deal physical damage. They can also inflict bleed and shoot more projectiles. It's what makes this build like insane. And it's helpful because in the Tower Trials, a lot of times you're fighting a whole gang of nerds. There's a whole freaking convention of people. It's like PAX West out there. You gotta fend off these gamers, all right? And having projectiles and having an AOE build essentially is nice. And these are kind of like smart seeking missiles in a sense, so it's not really wasted whenever you do your AOE damage. Anyway, that's the sword. And for my secondaries, they're not crazy good. Like, one of them is useless, the polarity attack charge speed. I don't use polarity. I'll be showing my skills, my augments here after I go over the gear, by the way. In our second hand, we have our Dark Star Crusher. We pretty much only use this for the primary, which is whenever you perform a weapon technique, create a time bubble that slows enemies by 30%, which feels like 99%, bro. Like, whenever they're caught in that time bubble, they are not moving at all, it feels like. So this hammer is insane. Everybody that has it uses it, unless they're just like, I don't want to use that hammer, it's too broken, it's not right. Hey man, you gotta abuse the power if you got it, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes. And then we have our amulet. It's not important what you have here. I like this amulet a lot because it's just going to be useful for me. You can swap to whatever you have access to. Like, initially I was using a not great amulet, but it was better than nothing. This is what I was using before. But now we got a pretty good one. I upgraded this from, I keep going back here. I upgraded this from I guess a rare? Yeah. This is the Heartsong amulet. I picked one that had a good primary and a good secondary, or like a high primary stat, so as high as Soul Shatter as I could get, while also having a good secondary for me, which would be like weak point or crit hit damage. And I just upgraded that to legendary, and now my amulet's pretty solid. I have one stat I won't use that much, which is timing attack, so that's unlucky, but other than that, it's pretty solid. Then we have our charm, which whenever you hit a weak point, you shoot a projectile that deals roughly 3,000 damage, physical damage, which can also inflict bleed. It's pretty nice. Secondary stats are pretty good, and don't worry too much about upgrading all your gear. You don't have to upgrade it like I did. In fact, I recently upgraded all these things to be better. Anyway, pressing W, we have Ancestral Band, which this ring can be interchanged with a different one I'll show in a second. But whenever you hit a weak point, you gain 2% Arc and Fury charge and 38% Arc and Fury charge speed for 10 seconds. That just helps you maintain ultimate or charge it quickly. And our secondaries they're not useless, which is good. And the ring you can change this out for if you want to is going to be not that. I keep going, like, that ring looks a lot like this one. Zway's Embrace. Whenever you hit a weak point, you gain 186, or it can be higher. In this case, 221 overhealth, and overhealth no longer degenerates. That is very useful in the Tower Trials. You do not want your overhealth going away, because having an extra health bar in this build is immensely useful. Because I don't really stack vitality, if you guys can't tell. My vitality is very freaking low. But moving forward, we have the Dawn Lord Signet. Whenever you defeat an enemy with a takedown, the enemy explodes and deals roughly 3,000 damage to nearby enemies. The explosion has a 50% chance to inflict bleed, which if I inflict bleed, I shoot projectiles. Like, a lot of moving parts in this build. Then lastly, we have Archons here, the best lifestone I can think of. It's just a lot of crit going on, which there's a better version of this, I think, but whatever, I'll find it later. Then I have Messa's Banderole, which I rolled really good stats on this banner. So it's just mostly crit and weapon weak point damage. So that's an insane banner. I ain't gonna lie. Now, to go into my augments, which you don't have to have exactly what I have. You don't have to have, you know, the same augment and the exact same stats. Just put in what you can and go from there. But we have absorption. Gain a 50% Arc and Fury charge speed for 10 seconds whenever you hit a weak point. Just help me build my ultimate even faster. Secondaries are going to hopefully be weak point technique damage, crit hit damage, all that kind of stuff. Surety, I only have one of these, I think, or two. This is insanely useful. Whenever you hit an enemy with your Northern Technique, expose the enemy's weak points and deal 99% weak point damage the next time you hit a weak point. The extra damage is nice. It's like a little bonus, but you expose their weak points for a couple seconds and you can keep hitting them. Like, most of the time you hit a weak point, it goes away. When you use this, the weak points stay for a little bit. And that is very freaking insane. If you pop your soul bubble and you use your Northern Technique, you get very high uptime on those weak points you exposed. So that's a very smart play to do. Then we have Twilight Bloom. I've only gotten one of these and I got it just recently. 81% weapon technique damage if at least 2 adjacent augments are red. And there's, dude, 81% is wild. This is probably the best version of a, you know, have 2 other augments be something or another that I've seen. Like, it's really helpful. Then we have Focus. Gain 69 over health whenever you perform a critical hit. That's just to help me get more health and, like, it's to give me some survivability because I really don't have much of it. Like, I'm a glass cannon kind of build, but I want to be able to survive some things. And for our 3 spirit things, pick whatever you think you're going to use the most. I chose things that gave me a good secondary and a decent-ish primary. Black Seed, whenever you defeat an enemy with a weapon technique, you gain shield charge, and your next shield ability deals more damage. 69, funny number, haha. Then we have Entropy. Whenever you activate Arc and Fury, shoot up to 3 projectiles that each deal 10,000 physical damage to an enemy. Those can inflict bleed, I'm pretty sure, and that's 30k damage just popping my Arc and Fury. And it also has pretty good secondaries, so I definitely rock with that. Hypnotize, Banner, right, restore 332 health. There's a freaking gnat in my room. Restore 332 health whenever you place your banner. More damage to bleeding enemies. And this is a necessity if you don't equip the ring I showed earlier that prevents overhealth from decaying. This does the same thing. So your overhealth does not degenerate, but you have minus 25% health recovery. And secondary is 30% damage to bleeding enemies. This gnat is finna catch these hands, bro. Holy hell. And then Loyalty. Whenever you hit a weak point, gain 1% Arc and Fury charge and 38% Arc and Fury charge speed for 10 seconds. Secondaries are stacked. So this is pretty much like my ring. And it's just to make sure I can get as much Arc and Fury as I can, because on this bulwark, it's the bleed nerd. So 10% chance to inflict bleed, and then if I pop my Arc and Fury, I do like just absurd damage to bleeding enemies, and I have a really high chance to inflict bleed. So if I can keep that going, I basically always have bleed going, and that's what makes this build work really well. Now, you don't have to inflict bleed because you have so much damage in your weak points that it's kind of nice, but that's mostly how it goes. As far as my skills are, I do not have skills that some players might take. I have no vitality. I don't use spirit because I just don't view spirit as that useful in the game right now. It doesn't really affect dot damage. It doesn't do a whole lot that I can think of. I'm better off just stacking as much damage as I can possibly take that it will be useful to me. So this is what I would take. This is what I play with. This is what I like using. And if you want to have vitality, I would take points from breach, put it in vitality or spirit if you want those two. If you want one of those two things. And if you want polarity attacks, then take a point from shield prime and put it in there. I do not like polarity attacks because there's an animation you have to cast when you swap weapons, and that slows me down, and I rarely ever stay in my second weapon form anyway. I just pop it, pop my soul bubble, or go for breach damage and then call it a day. And breach, you don't have to take it, but it is nice because at later rounds in the Tower Trials, you'll have a lot of freaking nerds with shields, and breaching them is the only way to do good damage to them for the most part. So breaching is nice. But yeah, that's what's going on here. This is what I suggest to do if you want to get very high levels in the Tower Trials. So hopefully it helps. If it does, make sure to drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more gaming content. We'll be covering some more Godfall. And yeah, it's a fun game. It's got some issues though, that's for sure. But the combat can make me ignore it. This effing gnat, dude. Holy, why? Somebody leaving the freaking door open? Anyway, hope you guys have a good day. I'll catch you later. Peace.